O ko aloha no, ai ai kalani, a o ko oea I o, he hamolele hoi. So this girl grew up in a time of great adversity. The world and Hawaii were changing. Her solace became her writing and her music, and they carried her through her life, the good, the happy, the bad, the sad, especially during the overthrow, where she said not one drop of Hawaiian blood should be shed. So give in, let it be. What is right will be fixed when the time is right. She looked at the beauty of life in her people, in her children, and through all of this, she gave us the greatest gift of all, the gift of forgiveness. Because during her imprisonment in that room on the second floor of Iolani Palace, she composed two of her most beautiful songs. O ko aloha no, ai ai kalani, a o ko oea I o, he hamolele hoi. Ko'u noho mihi ana, a pa'ahau ia, o oe, ku'ulama, ko nani, ko'u ko'o. Ko mako maluhia, a mauloa aku no,
we understood that through this bowl of perfect light, we could learn anything and everything. We learned that we could fly with the birds. And we learned that we could even slide down a rainbow. And when we did that, we could even take each of the colors and make a lei from the rainbow, and it would be ours. Or we could ride and surf on the back of a honu. All of these things we knew we could do because of what we learned from that bowl of light. Move your bowl a little bit again so that you can see that light. It can do anything and everything for you. And so we journeyed to see our kupuna. And the kupuna said, I'm so glad you came. I've been wanting to know when that would be. I've been waiting for you. And we said, you knew we were going to come? Oh, yes. I knew you would come. And what is the problem? We don't know. All we know is that there is no light in our bowl anymore. And the bowl is so heavy, and we are not well. And Kupuna said, I know. And they said, you know, what can we do? And she and he said, in a very decided voice, the answers lie within.
15 years later, he tells us he's walking with his sweetheart. They're engaged. They're going to get married. He's showing her the places he grew up. They're walking along the edge of that little finger where the heiau was rebuilt. He's walking along Pokai Bay. Oh, I played here as a child. You know, there was this one time, there was this stone, and he was telling you his betrothed, the story I just told you. He comes to that corner, and there's a table-sized stone with a puka in it. He said the chicken skin starts going up and down his spine, up and down his spine. The tears start welling up. He says, I gotta go. I gotta take, ho. She's like, what? Come. Runs back to the payphone in the parking lot, calls his tutu lady. Tells her the story that I just told you. She says, okay, I take your dad's side, you take your mom's side, you call everybody in the family, you tell them you got to get down to the parking lot. When the sun come up, they got to be there. I'm going to show up. We're going to make this good. We got to make up for this. Tell them they can stay away. Get here tomorrow morning by the time the sun comes up. Tutu lady comes. 60 of his family is there. She says, get behind me. And she starts her chanting. She starts walking down. She's got on the... She's going, she's talking, she's praying, the chanting's coming out. She gets to the stone, she's crying, Awe, She lays down on the stone. She's rubbing her tears into the stone with her hair. She's lying on the stone, tears. Even the people in the family who didn't know what she was saying in Hawaiian were weeping. And the 8-year-old girl walked over and picked up the stone and slowly followed the tutu up the little path to higher ground. True. A story of forgiveness and deep repentance. A story told to Waianae teenagers and one lucky haole boy by Glenn Keela. A story for you to take home.
And what is a forgiveness hero? It's simply someone who shows us the very best in ourselves, yeah? Because we all reflect each other, yeah? One who acts and speaks the way we would like someone to speak to us in our very best moments. Someone who shows the courage and the heart in the toughest of circumstances, not just the good times. And when things get so tough that some of us just want to run away and hide. But these people, especially those we celebrate today, they didn't run away. Instead, they stepped forward, embraced the challenges that life brought, and became bigger. Not to earn a reward, not to get some kind of a special recognition. No, but it was the right thing, and it was true.
Thank you so much to everyone for being a part of this Forgiveness Day, especially to all of the volunteers who helped to make this day a possibility. And Merton Chinen, I've known him for over 15 years now, and he's backstage over here. He's one of the stage managers. And I was a foster child when I was in high school and intermediate, and I belonged to a program that he started, and he was one of the mentors, and he was like a father to those of us who never had fatherly role models. And so, it's people like him, people like that showed me what it was like to, have morals and values, high ones too, you know what I mean? We need to love one another as if we were brothers, instead of disrespecting and hurting each other. What goes around should, like the sunrise, comes around. Countryside is always more better than town. Yeah. I said, what would you do? And tell me, what would you say? To make everything okay, okay, okay. A warning for the youth, nice and sweet, not like bulletin.
Let me tell you one story of these two families that lived in Kalihi. Had the Akanas. What's up? And the Domingos. How's it? Both these families had nice houses, and like everything else in Kalihi, the houses was right next to each other. This was old-time Kalihi. Never need to lock your door at night, and when one neighbor wanted to borrow something, they just went over and asked. But then, one day, Sonia's hen went fly to Butch's yard and went lay one egg. You'd think something like one small egg not gonna be one problem, but was one big problem.
They tried to call the cops on me. Try to send me for jail. We're gonna see you go burn in hell tonight. Charlie! Hey, Butch!
Butch and Charlie started to fight with each other. They never even know the fire was spreading. The small flame that would start the whole thing started to get bigger. The fire started to burn Charlie's house. Then Butch's house would catch fire. Pretty soon, half the neighborhood was burning in one huge flame. Everybody would get out in time. Everybody except one.
Charlie!
Cops.
Charlie! Cops. What happened, boy? Who will start the fire? Was Butch. I seen him with Butch. Who will start the fire, boy?
Was me. Pops. Was me. My hate. When burned down the house.
Remember that, boy. No point finger.
They would learn to forgive each other. Truly forgive. No point finger. If you let the small kind stuff get big, more people gonna get hurt. They wouldn't remember what Pops was trying to show them. They wouldn't remember what happened. All because of one egg.
Slowly, the tide begins to change, and where once there were murky deeps, there are boundless blue seas. Where once misery and suffering ran deep, waves of purity reign, an ocean of change, forgiveness.
I run willing, wild, and free, casting my soul head first into those divine depths, knowing at last that though I drown in the teardrops of tenderness and die to my seeming separation, I will be resurrected in the currents of compassion, absolutely certain of our belonging to the beloved. The Breast of God, a poem by Dreaming Bear Kanaan.
Now, when we choose to forgive, what happens is we let go of the anger that we're holding on to that really causes us pain. It doesn't mean changing the other person. It means changing how we feel about ourselves and not attacking ourselves. It doesn't mean we're condoning or agreeing with any pity. It means we're no longer going to be put in prison by our own thoughts.
This award is for something very personal. Something even the senator himself is too modest to talk much about. His courageous stand against racism during and after World War II. Young Daniel Inouye joined the 442nd Regiment combat team right after Pearl Harbor. He fearlessly confronted the Germans, and also the Japanese troops were sent to man the machine guns in Italy. But also, he not only faced that down, but he faced down the American prejudice against the American Japanese at the time. He volunteered for the most difficult assignments, some of them virtual suicide missions, in order to rescue others. Many of his friends did not return from Europe, and the war. The 442nd was at first regarded with great suspicion because they were Japanese Americans. But they excelled in combat and became the most decorated unit in United States military history. They forgave those who treated them unfairly. And Daniel Inouye literally gave his right arm for his country.
This was on the wall of a medical rehab clinic in Kabul. And to the left, to the right, the bottom left, I'll read that one first. Do not value things you have in your life, but value who you have in your life. And the center slide says, when someone hurts us, we should write it down in the sand where the winds of forgiveness can erase it away. And the upper right says, when someone does something good for us, we must engrave it in a stone where no wind can ever erase it. When we first came into Afghanistan, we were not there, but the man who came in, we had some difficulty getting in because the Taliban were resisting that activity. When we were allowed to come in sometime later, there was an accident. A man backed into one of the wings of the Cessna aircraft with a fuel truck. And the Taliban immediately came forward and said, we know who this man is, we'll shoot him, we'll take care of him, don't you worry about it. And John, our program manager at that time, said, no, please don't do that. That's not right. It was an accident. It's not something worth killing someone. And they said, no, we are going to execute him, we'll take care of him. Well, John again pleaded and said, no, please don't do that. We forgive him. And then 9/11 came. The U.S. bombed Afghanistan. The Taliban was in control prior to that time. And then when they were removed from power, we came back in with the aircraft and with the crew. And when we came back in, we needed a place to park the aircraft on the Kabul International Airport. So John had to go to the airport officials, and they told him to go talk to the ramp manager. And John walked in, and guess who was there? The man that backed into the wing had the most effective job there at the airport. And he gave us a prime location to park our aircraft. And in fact, even moved some other groups out of there and put us right next to the UN compound. So that is forgiveness and not shooting.